Hey John, thank you for coming, bro.
Yes, bro.
And well, Jon Clark, man, tell me about yourself. Where you come from?
Okay, so I guess do you want to know right from the start?
Right from the start, would you be like, where everything start with the music, creativity, projects?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, creativity is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
In terms of where it came from. So I guess when I was a kid, I was really into drawing. You know, I really drawing pictures. Yeah. And so I drew comics all the time. And in school.
Where'd you grow up?
So as a little kid, I was living in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was 9.
Okay.
And then I lived in Bolivia after that for 2 years. And I lived there, until I was 11. And then I went from there to England, and I lived in the West Country of England. Whenever I say that, people laugh because the West Country is considered very rural and provincial compared to Rio and Bolivia. But I actually learned most of my stuff probably in the West Country because of the experiences that I had there. But yeah, art, drawing, depicting life, you know, looking at things around, looking at the way the light was hitting the water, or, you know, looking at reflections and things like that, trying to draw them, trying to make it look convincing. And then I guess it's like that with rapping, you know, you're making a story, you're
trying to make a picture, to explain to somebody else.
Yes, and a narrative, something that starts one place and finishes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Take someone on a convincing journey.
Also, I can tell because your rap is really narrative too. It's really descriptive. You are always trying to tell a story or explain something. Other people take another approach, like myself. I go more random concepts, and then I try to structure a flow, a melody, or something like that, instead of trying to show somebody like a picture or a landscape. You are really descriptive in your craft.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting because I'm drawn to imagery and I guess things that I can feel like a cinema where it feels visual in some sense. But I get visuals when you're spitting, you know, when you're freestyling. I'm feeling the flow and the pattern, your cadence, the tone of your voice, but also here's this scene, you know? Yeah. And sometimes even when an abstract image is following another one, it makes a new kind of concept or narrative that kind of runs through it, you know? And
different examples can make a point. Different images can blend together to try to explain one idea instead of that's it. And so you grow up in like a different cities and different it's really similar for myself as well. So how was with the music when the music started?
So I guess I've always been nuts for music since I was a kid. My dad when I was little, he used to play me stuff like Rick Wakeman. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it's like psych rock type of stuff. Okay. So again, very visual, very narrative. You have this so it was King Arthur, you know, King Arthur. And so King Arthur, but as music, you know, and it's really like, boom. I ended up just sampling it a bunch, you know, and because it's hard, like the rhythms are really surprising, and especially you got these really moody little atmospheric bits, and just put a sub underneath it, and it sounds lit. I used it a bunch on my first album. I stopped sampling after a while.
What was your first album? What age you had?
When I released it,
my working on.
It took me so you're gonna laugh, but I started working on it when I was 19, right? Okay. I finished it when I was 30.
Oh shit!
And so when people talk about, you must have gone away and come back, I was like, nah. I was thinking very focused for this whole period of 11 years.
I mean, if anybody else told me that, I would say that for sure. But knowing you, I think I get it. Yeah, totally.
And I guess there was a sense of trying to make a narrative that ran through the whole album, and there was this theme of fire, you know, and I guess it was the fire inside, but also the fire as it relates to the idea that the world is becoming a little bit more cold, or like that there's a kind of nothingness approaching. The winter of nothing is coming, and that was the theme that was kind of running through the album. It's like stay keep the fire inside and keep the fire with your friendship and your empathy and your group around.
Like, give me some context for it. Like in my brain, like I work with what you say, and it's like you take a lot of time to make one album, and that process is like take a different stage of your life, different ways of thinking, on different ways. So you don't see the life in the same way when you are 20, or you are 25, or you are 30. You know, and I think grow up is realize as well, like the world is not so cool than when you are a child. It starts to become more cold as well.
Yes,
so maybe that's the natural process of a long-term project.
That's a cool way of putting it, bro.
You know what I mean? Because you become like when you're a kid, everything is awesome and everything is for you. You are in the middle of the attention of your family and Christmas and have a present for you. You start to become an adult and you are like more alone. Like your friends start to disregard, disperse a little bit, and in some ways, the world gets a little bit colder.
Yes,
when you grow
I know
up.
what you mean.
So
it's interesting because my period from, say, when I moved to Brighton, which was kind of around 21, that was actually a very bright, if you put in the pun, like stage of my life. I went from what was before, like in Somerset, it was quite a sort of dingy, dark time, it felt like, and I guess I left home when I was like 17, and there was a period of time where I guess I was just living in pretty ugly accommodation with pretty rugged surroundings and things kind of happening around me, and but it was the music that I knew that I loved this shit, you know? And I was just locked onto this creativity, and it was like a spark in the dark, you know. It was the thing.
And it's always there, no matter where you go.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? It's always something that's gonna help you out.
So coming here, I was suddenly surprised at how welcoming an atmosphere it was, you know. And people would be like, "Yeah," and I was like, "What? People are clapping?" Like where I was before, it's like, and the crowd's like shouting, and it was more of a hostile environment.
Yeah,
you know?
More savage.
Yeah.
People here are super civilized.
They are. Although, I've been here for a long time. I've been here for 20 years now. I've felt Brighton become a little bit more serious and a little bit more savage over that period of time. And it has to do with the economy, it has to do with the arrival of technology, all these kind of factors that are making people a little bit more insular, you know? And
no, that's for sure. 15 years ago, everywhere, like I was more personal, all the relationship, everything. Now people date for phones. Like that.
Yes.
When 20 years ago, you're a loser to find your, I have a girlfriend for internet.
Right.
What you're talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of feeling. Now it's like it's a more normal thing. I can totally tell. But I think that happened everywhere. The still thing like at this place is like it's kind of the people is it's nice by defect. Then that we see. You know what I mean? But the first response that people have always is nice.
Yeah, it feels like that, doesn't it? It's a receptive atmosphere, and people want you to be good. Yeah, exactly. That openism.
Yeah.
What about you, bro? Where did you start out?
A bunch of places too. I've been come from Basque Country, moved to Zaragoza, then Canary Island, then Andalusia, then Barcelona, moving around, working with the car. And like you say, like when I started with the music, everything was, no matter where you are, you always have something to do because you do music. And you have always somebody to meet. Yes. Because you do music. And if you don't have somebody to meet, you can't meet somebody because of music. It happened to me the first time I come here to London as well. And with nobody, I start going to all the open mics. Yes. And that put me in contact with musicians and with people and make my first friends. And but here, well, I know you because Colette.
Because of Colette.
But,
big up Colette.
Yeah, man, and Sombras. We're gonna talk about Sombras. I want to go back here to the plan a little bit.
All right.
And I want to ask you how all these places you've been moving around interfere or influence more. It's more accurate.
I like interfere. That's good.
It's kind of intrusive, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Interfere.
Sometimes you have no choice.
Yeah. yeah, how all these different places influence in your creative process or musician grow.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't realize the kind of influences that they had until I started working with, I guess, people who were aware of the difference between, say, like the culture of rapping here, the style of rapping here, compared to the musical influences that you get in Brazil and Bolivia and places like that.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the effects growing up was samba music and carnival, and the sort of pattern, that sort of patterns that were coming out in the samba. And when I started making beats, I'd always make them with that sort of triplet flow, and with and also a kind of like an offbeat on the snare.
You still have that one.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I can tell.
But now it's like, now I know why I've got it. Then I just did it.
You use it on purpose. It's part of your cards. It's part of your, that's cool. Man.
So I guess, especially with, I like things that go on beat and then go off beat. So where you've got a pattern where you rock it straight and you hit the snare, and then for the second one, instead of hitting the snare again in the same place, you shift the pattern off. Forward or backwards.
Yeah, and you go off time.
Exactly. And then bring it back on again.
That's cool. That's cool. So, your previous work, you say you do a mistake, take you 10 years to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the name of that?
So it's an album called On, and it's under Jon Clark. My name is JONCLARK.
Okay.
And
I will put all the links on everything to find it.
Nice. And I guess it's wild. One of the things that's really interesting is listening back. I can hear a kind of an excitement and an energy of being young, and it's sort of like, here I am kind of thing, And one of the things I've found as I've gotten older is this sort of relaxedness sort of settle into me, and that's what I like to listen to as well. I like a sort of tone in a music, where I almost find it more musical when my tone, especially, is more relaxed and more chilled. Because then it lets the music do its thing. It's more atmospheric and less desperate, let's say, So
the kids are screaming too much.
Yeah, for sure. But it's
like they go one octave, one higher. You know what I mean?
11, 12, 13.
Let's go down to like a normal conversational tone, and let's see how you do with that. You know.
But there's a power in blasting as well, and I definitely do. Especially like freestyling. Sometimes the excitement.
But it's a control there. It's not all the time. You go back and forth from that state to another. You want to emphasize this.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
It's all about that.
Yeah, I found that as time went along, I started just, I guess, becoming more and more familiar with rhythm to the point where I kind of leave more spaces as well, and when I was writing lyrics, and and the space is everything, because when you start a verse, you have everyone's attention. They're like, oh, new voice coming in, and then you're just like da, and you machine gun for 3 minutes, and some people are just like, shut up, and even though you might be saying the best thing in the world, you might be talking about the meaning of life. It doesn't matter because it's that same voice drawn in. So leave gaps, put spaces, and rhythmic spaces, because the absence, it says rhythmic as the presence.
It's part of the music too. It's silent. It's important as well. For me, it was. I totally get that, because for me, I get that point. Some point in my 27, I believe, 26. For me, it was life changing change in my rap, totally. When I start to introduce the silence in the lyrics, like I start writing the silence in the paper.
Yes.
Before that, I just was intuiting where it's gonna come. Sometimes I move it around, so you move around all the pattern. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get out of breath, so you have to put a new one and never been there.
Surprising.
And all the lyrics you come later have to go more compressed, or all the bars start to falling apart. You know what I mean? So I start like I totally remember when I started putting like a silence, writing the silence down as part of the process of writing. So I have my my breathing totally under control, and actually I can play with that silence in a dramatic way or whatever you want to emphasize what is going to come next, or something you just say and you want to let that thing sink. You know what I mean? And you put all the shit together, and for me it was
Can I ask, do you have a symbol that you use for silence?
Yeah, 3 dots between parentheses.
Yeah,
that's it. And I have 1 dot between parentheses when
you mean brackets? Yeah,
brackets.
That's nice.
Yeah, I put 3 dots, and when I do a short one, I just put 1 dot.
Nice. That's clever, bro. I like that.
Yeah.
I use like an asterisk, so whenever the asterisk is there,
I see, because I like that all the symbol take the space in the page like a word. That's you know what I mean?
I love that.
Like you have a word, and the word is like it's like a bunch of letters. It's like it's gonna be like an inch, of a space. So I put an inch of silence, because it's gonna be the same of saying my name, Diego. Because now it's shut the fuck up for this.
Yes, bro.
This exactly amount of time. So you have the time to breathe or whatever you want to do.
Do you dramatize that silence? Do you go like, and like look at the crowd and then pop back in or something?
No, I think that come later when you start to training in your show and in your gig. You know what I mean? I think that come later. I don't think about the performance when I writing. I think that's a good point. Actually, it's something good to incorporate as well, especially with hooks, and write the hook thinking, and the hook is the moment you can make participate the public more easy for you. You know what I mean? So if you think in the performance when you are writing the hook, you can make that more interactive.
Yes.
And it's something I don't do. I see other people, because I work with a lot of rappers as well, and I see other people actually doing it. And when I listen albums or things like this motherfucker write the hook exactly for the kick, exactly for the, they make a hook which actually to play with people. I'm not so good doing hooks actually. I make little lyrics in my hood too. You know what I mean?
It's interesting, isn't it, the hook, and how to mark the difference between the hook and the rest.
Yeah.
And I guess some of the times people just talk about the super simplicity, One of my favorite hooks is Diggable Planets. It just says, we make noise, 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 noise. And they just keep saying noise again and again. Yeah. But it's so dope. One of the things, especially with silence and playing live, you were talking about playing live, you need that silence when you're playing live. You use so much more energy, so much more.
I think that was the inflection point, because I started to do gigs. And I start to, because you record, everything is easy in the studio, no? And when you don't have the breath, you can cut the take and put it and fake it. You know what I mean? Or put a rescue there with another word. Yeah, bro. And then you have to do that song in live. And you start to fucking die on the stage.
It's the worst.
Like
the vein,
like start sweating. Like you have a friend, and it's like you start to giving him work. Like I need to see this word, this word, this word. Because if you don't see that, I fucking die. And it's like, okay, we have to make this shit more simple from the beginning.
The worst thing is that you run out of air as you get to the end of the bar. The end of the bar is supposed to be when you smack it.
Yeah, it's the more energy you should have. Like when you hit it, you hit the nail, man. There, that's totally it. Yeah, I think that was the inflection shit. The moment I start to realize, man, like I know I have to write in another way if I wanna perform all this shit in live, because I can actually do it correctly. So you start to try to figure it out ways, and the route is to go to the route. Go to the moment you are writing down and have all this shit prepared.
Yes.
To write it, like even if you have to perform that song alone, with no friend, no chorus, no rescue in the beat. You know what I mean? Like you have to do it alone, and you have to do it all the song fresh.
Yes.
This hook, like I repeat 3 times. I can't be dead in the first one. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that's it. Like you learn with the problems. The problems come to you, and you start to fixing shit up with it.
But that's how we get ready for the best performance ever, right? And you can spank it if you know what you need. for that time. That's the only training ground that you can possibly use for that training ground. You know, no one can prepare you for that.
No, the only way to prepare for it is go unprepared. And go unprepared a bunch of times.
Yeah.
It's like these people, they never publish nothing because they want to do it perfect. Man, till you don't publish it, don't you start to perform it, you don't gonna see that a new world of errors, issues you have.
There's this bar, it's by this rapper, well, it's this crew called Days and Ava. But the bar is, you can spend a lifetime thinking of how you'll overpower this, but there's a thin line between patience and cowardice.
Yeah, totally.
And I was just like, yeah, just do it, man. Just go.
Yeah. It's like be too insecure or be too proud. It's part of the same. It's like two sides of the same coin. You are too insecure to let the people see your errors because you are too proud to show them. No, and it's kind of contradictory, but it's not.
It is, because ultimately that pride will mean that you have no output, nothing. You know,
nothing to show at the end. Yeah, it's kind of part of it. It's kind of part of the process. And what about the productions? What about the
making
beats?
beats?
Yeah.
So I guess when me and my brothers were little, you know my brother, David. So me, Dan, and him,
the spy.
We would make little mixtapes, and but they were we'd make story tapes. So we'd click, play, and record on the cassette.
Yeah.
Invent these like little stories, and in the stories we would do sound effects, and so they'd be like and stuff like that, and just getting used to the helicopters, whatever, you name it. And I found that
sound effects and shit.
Sound effects, yeah. But just naturally, kids do that stuff, you know. But when I first started making beats, I was sampling from stuff, but it wasn't really doing it for me. And I guess I didn't really have that great sample records at that point, you know. And so I started just going back into those old tapes and exploiting them for the sound effects. And because they were recorded on tape, they had that really beautiful natural saturation that was kind of, and compression that comes with tape. And so I started using them all the way as sound effects and breakdowns in the beats. And that really influenced how I made beats.
Like a library of samplers, no? At some point.
Now I just walk around with a recorder, with a stereo recorder, and I record everything. You know, I have just libraries and libraries of sick stuff that I've managed to catch there in the moment when it's happening. There's one sample that I had, which I'm so sad that I haven't got nowadays. But it was, I've looked for it for years, but I caught the best moment. And so I started recording, and it was one of these like exercise machines, you know, where you put your feet in these two stirrups, and it has like a sort of really thick elastic here, and then you grab these handles. And so what I was trying to do was I pulled it up to my chin like this, and I stood up, and I was the idea was to let it go and get the sort of whip crack. But it was pulling so tightly, and I was stood up, that I just fell over, right? And my hand like lost the control of the handle and just whipped down and smacked me like really hard in the knee, and I screamed like a dog in the moment of ecstasy. And it was just the best sound effect, and I had my scream like mixed in it as well.
A really scream of pain, like a real, not fake.
Exactly. But the funny thing is, you know, Colette came around my house. She brought me exactly the same stretching device. I was like laughing, and I was telling her the story of way back when. So I recreated the scene, you know? And so, but this time...
So you tried to fuck you up again.
This time it flicked up and hit me in the face, and she was just rolling on the floor. She was laughing, you know how she laughs. And she was laughing so hard. It's that kind of experience, man. That's what happens when you're looking for the perfect noise.
That's fucking funny, man. What about Sombras? What about Colette? How you meet Colette?
So there used to be this night called Slip Jam in Brighton, and it was an open mic night, mostly freestyling, and it went on for 17 years. And so at the time, I just played at Slip Jam, and I was feeling full of fire and freestyle, and came back from it and went to a house party at Kemma's house. And Colette was sat there rapping to this dude, and she was sat on, I guess it was Kemma's bed, and just rhyming. And I was just like, yeah. Her voice is incredible. Her rhythm is just next level. So I sat down with her and I started freestyling in Spanglish, mixing a bit of Spanish, a bit of English, and bouncing in between the two. And me and her just connected like hard. And she loved the same sort of beats that I did as well, just hard, I guess, menacing, malevolent beats,
Yeah.
And
she liked this shit.
I was just like, yeah, it was like one of those moments where you meet your puzzle piece of music. And so it was really easy to make music with each other. I'd just go around her house, and sometimes we'd just write stuff really fast. Other times it would take us months to write a tune because we'd have a very specific agenda.
Yeah.
A language game or a puzzle, where, for example, she would finish a bar and she'd finish it in English, and then I'd use the same sound and the same type of syllable, but try and transmute it into English homophones, they call it, So, for example, I say "si" or the "si," but "si" like yes in Spanish,
Yeah.
So we're bouncing between these sort of homophones, and she was the most patient MC I've ever worked with in my life. She's like full of fire and that kind of spontaneous energy, but she can also sit down and craft her business.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we made this, we made our album, the Sombras album, but it was off the back of a lot of experience, which was basically us rhyming on stage at the Concord, doing nut stuff like rhyming over someone, just someone playing cajon and us spitting hard over that, or things like me going over to Barcelona and just chilling with all her crew out there, like being on top of a high-rise as the sun is coming up in the morning.
Yeah.
Getting locked in
the bunkers.
Yeah, exactly.
In Barcelona, I know the place, I think.
I got stuck on the top of this building, and my plane was going to leave in 5 hours.
Oh shit!
And someone had thrown the keys off the top of the building. The keys twisted, and it meant that we couldn't get out of the section where we were. And I was contemplating climbing down the side of this 10-story building, and people were stopping me from climbing down the building. We finally managed to get the door open, and it was cool. I managed to get out of that.
Shit!
But yeah, just fun,
Yeah. No, I remember I see your show with Colette at least 4 or 5 times, I believe. And in the span of 2-3 years, maybe, I remember seeing like the evolution in the performance and the puesta en escena, is performance.
Do you mean the theatricality?
The theatricality of the show, and I see it like I see really a curve there, and I love it. And also I remember like I was really impressed because before you, I know Colette for like 15 years. I know Colette like at least 10 years before I come here, and I rap with her and I do a lot of freestyle. I meet her doing freestyle in the streets of Barcelona, and we tried to do a show once, but it didn't go out. But we do a couple of trainings in his home, and I work with her And I remember she never had this I never see her so invest in a project like in Sombras.
Yeah.
And when I come here after years without see her, and I see you with her doing this performance, I was really impressed. Like, oh shit, they really making it was really a show.
Yes.
It was really different from this kind of it's more or less like the normal with the rappers. They just go to the stage and they just drop lyrics.
Yes.
Without order, without a context, without a performance, without a middle, a presentation, an intro, an outro, in between 2 tracks, a theatrical show. And I remember seeing you doing that, and I was really, really impressed, like in a really good way. I'm really proud for Colette because I never see her like a really involved in that level.
But I was the same, my bro. I don't think I've ever been so invested in a crew as I was with that. It was true chemistry,
Amazing.
It just worked from the start. Everything was click, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Sounds like bloody Fresh Prince or whatever it was. But yeah.
No, but it's good, man, because it's two people just connecting on the same page.
Yes.
In some way, doing something great. It's amazing. It's actually can blow your mind if you know the person from before. You know what I mean?
But for me, meeting her was a reinvestment in all of my history. So many aspects were brought together in that comradeship, So there was the Latin background, which coming to this country, I love England. I've learned so much here, but there's a part of me that I left in South America, and I've never let that go. I've kept up with my Spanish, I've kept up with my Portuguese, and it's alive in me, And when I met her,
why do you think it is?
Why?
What?
So it's a sense of, I love that place so much. Really loved South America. And when I came to England, it took me a while to understand English culture, but I did. And I slowly understood the sense of humor, the little plays on words, the intellectual way that people do things. And I started to love it and enjoy it and develop that way. And but with Colette coming in, it was like boom! All of these aspects come together. All these things that I love.
A middle term from Spain.
Yeah, no,
for sure.
Have sense. I got the feeling it was a bit like that for her. We had there was just something, very, I guess, faithful about it. I don't really believe in predestination, but it just was.
It's matching.
Yeah, it worked.
It's good, man. So you have this album, Sombras. And
yes. Shadows is the name of the album.
Some video clips as well.
Yes. Yeah. And my brother helped us a bunch. My brother was living with Colette,
Yeah, I was living there too.
Exactly. So you know how it is. It was just a big sort of mixture of creativity. My brother is like banging to filming, sending drones up into the sky, climbing into places, filming things, and so it was about a sort of bravery. There was this time when we were filming for the Shadows video, and we went up in the fairground that comes to the level every summer, and we went and asked them. We were like, "So can we film inside the ghost train and whatever the haunted house?" And they were like, "Definitely not." And so we were like, "Okay, yeah, we'll definitely not film that." And then we blatantly did, So we just went through. We're filming. We're like rhyming. We're wearing these masks, these scary looking masks, like something out of The Purge. And then while we're in there, my brother's like filming. And then there's people who are coming through on the ride, and they suddenly realize they're in a music video, And they're like behind us. They're behind Colette and us wearing these masks. And they're like moving their hand as if they're like part of the music video. It was so funny when they... But yeah, and then the carnival people realized that what we were doing, and they came in with big bad crew to chase us off. But yeah, we saw it coming, so we got out of that.
Take the drone.
Yeah.
Fucking David, man. He's a fucking spy. Kind of the spy.
For sure.
I was doing a project that's amazing. I'm not gonna talk about the images he's capturing is like a mind-blowing shit.
Yeah, it's next level, man.
Yeah.
My brother's always moving from one thing to the next, and it's about pure love and excitement of the image with it.
Yeah.
He gets very drawn into, similar to me. He'll be like,
with other focus, but with the same passion, maybe. I think so too. Let's talk about freestyle. Would you love to freestyle? I do freestyles with you a lot, and it's always some kind of form, some kind of structure. You always go for it.
A structure that I have when I rhyme.
When you do freestyle, that's my perception, at least.
What's your perception? I'd be interested to hear.
Like we say before, it's kind of like you are trying to explain something, and you explain the same thing from different angles, but you always maintain the focus. It's not like a lot of rappers that there is like a storm of ideas, and one idea gives you to another one, to another one, to another one. At some point, you are so fucking far away from the beginning. That's the normal with the rappers. But you are like a kind of a 360 vision who always have the epicentric. like the eyes on the prize, the focus. You know what I mean? And it's like it's kind of impressive seeing like how many examples or how many sentences with different words all rhyming together, talking about the same thing to trying to explain one thing in particular.
Yeah,
I see that focus when you rhyme, even when I can understand 60% of what you're saying normally, because that happened to me with English rappers. Take me a lot of effort just to understand them. It's not because your English is fucking amazing to understand. Like you have a clear one for a foreigner like me. It's like you don't have this kind of weird accents where I have to figure it out constantly. What the fuck is going on? But with the rappers, everything comes too fast. So for me, it's sometimes that take me away, you know. So I focus on other stuff.
I think sometimes when I'm freestyling, I'm seeing the thing that I'm describing in front of my eyes, you know, and so it's almost like my brain is playing a cinema across my eyeballs or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing it, and because I can see it, I'm trying to describe what I'm seeing. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that helps you to see it as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually seeing it, you know?
For sure. It's a pretty narrative, still rhyming.
One of the things, I guess, when I started freestyling, I guess it's funny because, you know, I was talking about those tapes that I did with my brothers. I found some old tapes with I didn't even know about freestyle rap at that point. I was probably about 9, and I was just singing. But I just watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and I'm singing about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and all the monkey brains and stuff like that. And it's kind of, and you can tell that it's really vivid in my memory, you know, because it had an effect on me, kind of thing.
I was very impressive for a 9 years old Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. That shit, like,
it was scary.
Yeah, man, of course. Kalima with the heart.
Yeah.
He's still alive. You know? That shit, like, it's a kind of trauma.
But what I found is when I started freestyling, I really wanted it. I wanted it so bad, and it was partly to defend myself against war on the mic, you know, and whoever was going to kind of come at you out the crowd, because people were coming at me out the crowd, you know. So I was like, how do I be ready
defend myself?
Exactly, yeah.
You give yourself the skills to actually defend yourself.
Well, I was working the angles, and yeah, sure, there was one day where I said this rhyme, and it was a couplet, you know, so one thing that rhymed with something else, but it kept the subject going, you know, and I was just like, that is what I want. You know, I want to continue the thread of the thought, not just go off in random directions, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, and it was completely unplanned. I'd never thought of them two together before, but it just worked there in the moment. So that was like, that set the bar for me, and I wanted everything else to be to that level, which was a continuity of some sort, you know. And then...
And you find out that one when you have 9?
So when I was 9, I was saying the Indiana Jones thing. When that couplet worked, I'd say I was about 17. When it first happened.
Okay, that had more sense.
For
a rapper, for a freestyler, I mean.
And for years, I was trying to rhyme like that constantly, steadily, stay on topic. You know, if I started to deviate, go pull it back, bam, on the topic again. And it was. Then the question was, how do you keep talking about the same thing for an extended period of time? And the truth is, we can't. You know, if we were just talking, then we'd be able to do it. And you could talk for probably, look at how long we're talking about freestyling right now.
Yeah.
And so it's like...
But at some point you run out of the content. You know? Like you're just playing enough, but you make the picture of it.
Yes, exactly.
At some point.
But it was about... changing my brain so that it kind of, how would I call it? Like a thesaurus, you know? So imagine I was going to describe the window, and I'm talking about the rain hitting the window, right?
Yeah.
But then in my brain, I might start to talk about the rain, and my brain would go like, window, glass, pane. Then I'll be like, the rain hitting the pane, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like a tick, 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 thesaurus in your brain of all these similes, and if you sit inside this cloud, it's like a semantic cloud, if that makes sense. It's a cloud of all associated terms, you know, around an idea. And it's like you're kind of swimming around in there, and you're reaching in the dark for words that sound the same or have the same color as the word you just said. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting. Because for me, it's totally. I think it's like you say, you made your own weapons to defend yourself from the environment you were in, and when I started doing freestyle, which I started super late, I never had that pressure. I never did freestyle in battles. I never do freestyle. I started doing freestyle lately with people I didn't know. But in the beginning, always was between friends.
Yes.
And people I like and people you have confidence with. And nobody was like fucking around or not too hard. And if they were like a battling each other, was like a kind of a consent.
Yeah, and a joke. And fun.
In a joke. But you don't really have the necessity to do that battle. So I never did it. So for me, freestyle always was disorganized ideas, more focused in some way in make the rhythm and the flow, and doesn't really matter what you say, but you have to say it over the beat in the correct moment to take the structure and make the figure you want to do. And that's why we clap each other. That's why once somebody do it, like, oh man, that flow was sick. So that's what you get fit with, and that's what you train more, because that's the best response you have for your friends.
And it's almost like church sometimes, you know, where the preacher's like, da 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 da, and everyone's like, and then they're like encouraging. What's the next thing? Come on, you know?
For me, it was more a musical than a lyrical way, especially the freestyle. My lyrics is totally different, and I was even more different in the beginning. But the freestyle for me was a way to have fun with friends, make jokes, and try to come out with the craziest or sickest flow you can come out. That was our competition.
But I can hear that in your freestyle, bro.
Not who is the one who say the more fucked up thing to your mom.
Yeah, of course, man.
We used to laugh at that rappers a lot. And I remember when I started doing like a freestyles in the streets in Barcelona. And we are like a little crew of 3-4 guys. And sometimes I was alone. And I was like hunting cats. I was looking in the club, in the door on the club, and I see a flat cap. And I go to the guy and like, you do freestyle, man? Let's go to the alley and let's do some freestyle together. Was that kind of guy, you know?
So what you're saying, that based on his appearance, you're like, you must rap.
You must rap. If you dress like that and you don't rap, you are a fucking fake. I was like that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, you need to have some flow here.
So we used to say a similar thing. So you got the hat, you got the hoodie, you got the shoes. What's your function?
Yeah, what's your flow?
Which one of the four do you do? You know?
All this shit is expensive, you know? Why are you doing that shit? We have a lot of jokes with that, but the point was, is like a lot of times we meet people, they don't know how to rhyme like we do.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like a style or technique. I'm talking about socially. They don't know how to match in the cipher with us.
Yes.
Because they come and every time they come to his turn, they're trying to do a battle to somebody who's not gonna respond the battle.
Yes.
And nobody's clapping your punchline. Because your punchline for us was lame.
Yeah, bro.
Your punchline was like we always have a laugh with like it's one example I'm the shark and you are the piranha.
Yeah.
I would laugh with that shit. Like, I mean, we can be like and that was the kind of punchline they like. And for us, like that was nothing. You know what I mean?
Course,
so this guy rhyme, nobody clap him, nobody give the hand, nobody give the hug, and the next guy start to rapping about aliens. The city lights and whatever concept, but he started to do it with the structure, with flow, with patterns, you know what I mean, with musicality, and everybody lost the mind, and everybody, wow, man, and these guys get like man, I was thinking I know how to rap, I look like I know with these guys, you know what I mean?
It feels
we break a lot of minds with that, and a lot of them, they become like a part of the crew at the end, you know what I mean? And we grow that thing. For us, it was like a kind of harsh, because in some way you are, it's like I let you down in some way, but in another way, we are pushing this guy to our side to show like, you see, there is other more creative ways to actually freestyle than just trying to let down your friend.
Absolutely,
you know?
Man.
Because you go to this crew guy in the night, and all the friends rap in the same way. and you can see the jealousy, you can see the tension between them. The other day you say something about my mother that I don't like it, or about my girlfriend, and then he fucked my girlfriend in real life.
Yeah.
You know, and all the personal become all the personal become the rhyme, and the next joke in the next and the next cipher, and maybe there are not two friends now, and now they go serious in the battle, and we see that tension. It was like we don't have that war back in the days, but it was really a toxic environment.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. All the opposite that we have was more like a musical and more like a friendship.
An inclusive environment.
And you know, and no matter what your background come out, you don't have to be clever. You have to have wit. You know, you have to be imagination, and you have to understand the music. You have to follow the fucking beat. The beat is here for something. No, it's not the decorative shit.
Can I ask, were these people super young? These people were coming with this sort of stuff?
We have people all range. But yeah, most of them were young. Most of them were like a half generation before of us. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe we have like a 25, and these guys come with 17, 18, you know, and they come with the 8 miles mentality.
Yeah, I see.
But we come real rhyming before Eminem. Yeah, that's the thing. You know what I mean?
It's the difference between a second-hand culture, something you've inherited from consuming media, or something that you've inherited from a community, you know? And this cipher means a circle, you know? It's like capoeira, it's a circle, you know?
I never seen that way, but it's a really good point. Mm-hmm. It's a really good point, because if I think about it, I never start writing or do hip-hop because I see a movie and I think it was cool.
Nah.
Or, you know, I see the rapper and I hear the rapper. All the rappers and all the media, they come later. When I was actually doing some shit.
Exactly.
All that shit actually helped me a lot to actually structure my thing and focus on it, because I see examples now. And before I didn't have these examples.
When 8 Mile came out, we looked at it almost like, are they representing the culture correctly? You know what I'm saying?
When
8 Mile came out, I was like, it's alright, but he's not freestyling, she's not freestyling, and there was
a movie, it's all a script.
Of course, yeah.
All the lyrics are written for the same guy at the end of the day, and all the freestyle was a lyric written perfectly crafted to impress you in the movie.
Yes, yeah.
It was a really good work.
It is a good work, but it was interesting to be inside a culture and be looking at a representation, a media representation, critically, because that is now become the kind of go-to reference. People say, oh, it's like 8 Mile. It's like, yeah, they came out like
8 miles just like this.
Yeah, exactly. 8 Mile was like what we were doing.
Yeah, totally.
But with more humor, maybe we had, you know.
Yeah. But actually 8 Miles is this kind of movie of is following a pattern out of the musical kind of movies, following the kind of movie of you have like from the 80s till then of the poor guy surviving in the hood, you know, try to make something of his life over to be, like outside to be a gangster, and so you have hundreds of movies like that one from before. 8 Miles, the only thing they put into was the rap music inside of it, and the focus on the gigs and the focus on the freestyle. But it's like this kind of movie, like the gangster fighting, and you know, I want to do something better with my life. And, you know,
it's that story that like all like
the brothers of the hood. You know what I mean? It's the
boys in the hood,
the boys in the hood. This kind of movies, look at the same.
But like a lot of media loves the kind of like say X Factor. They love the emotional story. You know.
That shit.
One of the things that really stuck out about that film to me, there were two things. One of them was the way he throws up in the bathroom at the start, you know? That's real. I've seen people do that for real.
I have a friend, he always do before a gig. He always puke before. We laugh a lot with that.
Yes.
You puke already? Yes. Okay.
Okay, you're ready. Let's go.
We are ready now.
The other thing is that scene in the bus, you know, where he's like...
writing the lyrics.
Yeah, writing the lyrics and looking and the moving scenery going past. Because I find the moving scenery is wonderful for writing, for freestyling. I think that's why a shower is good. You know, you get ideas in the showers because everything's shifting and moving and fluid all around you. And it's
when you write, you are moving forward. It's totally.
Yes.
You are following the song as well, now in the 30-second, now in the minute one. You know? Or the bar, you come to the bars instead.
So RhymeWave started out pretty much as an idea. When I was 19, like I was telling you, like way back when, I would always write down when I was writing lyrics, I'd write down everything that I could think of that rhymed with the word that I was trying to rhyme.
Yeah.
And so I'd have one page where I was writing the rhyme, the other page that was full of rhyme words. Just like
just words.
Just words that rhymed.
Yeah.
And the reason was because I wanted to have every opportunity to rhyme well and for it to continue the thread, the narrative that I was trying to convey in the lyrics.
Yeah.
And so as a result of this, I started just I was like, mate, each time I write lyrics, I might be on the same scheme again. And I'm like, why am I doing this again? Why am I writing all this stuff out again? And so I started keeping a notebook, and I'd have a page designated to every rhyme scheme. And so I just started doing this, and I did this for years. I had notebooks just full of rhymes, things that rhymed. And in a way, it helped me with freestyle as well. Not like I was reciting off a list of rhymes, but more that I would forget those words, but they would come.
You're exercising and putting all these words in your brain.
In my brain, yeah.
Like a recording them.
And I'd find that they would come back, but in a context that I hadn't expected. So say I'm rhyming with, say I'm going to say dog. A dog can be used in so many different ways, You can be like it's a dog's life, the life of a dog. It's raining cats and dogs, You can use a dog to describe someone who's unattractive. You could there's so many contexts for the same word, And so if you know that word rhymes, you can reuse it in many different ways. And so it's about linking, it's about reinforcing that neural connection between those words, And so I just started busting like books and books and books and books full of it. And finally, I decided I wanted to write a comprehensive system, a sort of framework that all these rhymes could sit inside. And I didn't know that there was a finite number of vowel sounds. Because when we talk about a rhyme scheme, usually you're talking about vowels, So someone might rhyme dinosaur with spinal cord, And the common aspect between those is the I and the or, which are the vowel sounds. And so I started categorizing words according to their vowels. And the way I found that out was because I did a TEFL course when I was 23. And
what's that?
So it's teaching English in a foreign language,
Okay.
So I was like, why do I want to do a TEFL course? I want to rap, right? But I did this thing anyway, so I needed to make some pay, needed to make some money. And I saw on the wall, there was a list of the vowel sounds. So I was like, yo, baby, let's cook, let's go. And so from there, I started categorizing them and putting them into their various schemes. And there was 18 vowels altogether. And if you're talking about multi-syllable rhyme, then you're talking about at least 2, which means in mathematics, it would be 18 times 18, which is 324, right? And so I needed a book with 324 pages that I could bust all these things down in. And so that's how it started. But it got so technical that I had so many words in there that I was writing in between the lines, and it was getting ridiculous. I didn't have enough space. And my dad said to me, why don't you make it into like an Excel spreadsheet or something like that? And I was like, I hated computers, I didn't even have a phone. I was like, why would I do that? But I didn't have enough space in this book, And
so, because in the infinite matrix, you can expand whatever you want.
So,
stretch.
That's how it began. And I made this kind of hyperlink system inside of the Excel spreadsheet that is pretty much identical to the hyperlink system that you've got with all the vowel sounds with the symbols in RhymeWave itself at the moment.
Okay. Can you define RhymeWave, like for put it in a little bit of context?
Yeah.
Like a explanation, like what it is.
So it's a rhyming tool. Some people would say a rhyming dictionary. But when I said a rhyming dictionary to the guy who was helping me code it, he said, it's not a rhyming dictionary. He goes, it is to a rhyming dictionary what a scientific calculator is to an abacus. And I was like, all right, my dude. Yeah, I'm happy with that, with that comparison. But basically, it's what it is they're kind of, it's almost like looking, you know, when you look at stairs and things go up in stages kind of thing, you know? It's called, and so it's built rhythmically in ascending order. So you'll have kind of, say you're talking about the dinosaur sound that we were discussing earlier. So dinosaur is 3 syllables, right? Dinosaur, time of war, spinal cord, diamond claws, whatever. And then if you're looking at that, and then you want to make a 2-syllable version of that same thing, then you would have like I saw, white hawk, cyborg, right? So that would be the 2-syllable version of the dinosaur spinal cord, kind of, right? But then also, if I was writing a lyric, I'd want to know all the sounds that rhyme with just I, and all the sounds that rhyme with just or, right? So board, cause, thought, force, all these kind of things, right? Yeah. And so it was how to display them all together so that an MC could bounce between those different patterns and make it work like, almost like a 2-tone drum, you know? And in samba and stuff like that, you get the offbeats. You surprise someone by the change in the rhythm. You dislocate your rhythm, you know, and you make it, you push it offbeat and then bring it back on, kind of thing. And so that was the point of the way it's displayed, is for the rhymes to go up in ascending order with greater complexity as you move from the left to the right of the screen. And it was similar with the way the vowel sounds are displayed. The vowels are kind of almost like a piano, you know? You go up a piano and the notes rise in ascending order. And our mouth, when you move your tongue from the bottom of your mouth to the top of your mouth, you get like, when your tongue is flat, you get ah, and then and then and then right? Okay. And so you're effectively creating like a filter inside of your mouth, you know, that is it's moving these, and it moves in slow increments like that. And so the idea was to have sounds of a similar nature. That often I hear people rhyme sounds that appear next to each other in that color scheme. And it's because they're so similar. And often when, say, my mom's American, so she says bath, but my dad's English, so he says bath. And bath and bath are right next to each other on that color scheme. And so the idea was to make some music out of it and make a dependable scale in the same way as you would on a piano. And then within that scale, you can sort of bounce around the whole English language. You can teleport from one sound to another. And it might be that you've never conceived of, say, how to rhyme E or that kind of sound, right? But you might find it by mistake, just by pressing the buttons and ending up somewhere nuts, you know, that you haven't anticipated. And for me, especially freestyling, I wanted to be able to rhyme with everything, you know? Yeah. So if someone says some crazy thing, like, say a word to me right now and see if I can rhyme.
Oh my God, I don't know. Yeah, whatever, glass.
So glass, glass, grass, task, rap, chat, you know, so it's that same sound, right? Yeah. And say if it was 2-syllable, like plant pot, like hands off, chat bot, that's what, you know? And it's all about, it's about familiarity, you know? And you watch little babies trying to learn to speak, you know? Yeah. And it's really...
They do all at once, and wow! And they do all the phonemes in once.
Of course.
Yeah, and I'm training that.
And they'll confuse some for others, you know? They'll have a little baby staying at my house, and she goes, the pooter, you know? She's talking about the computer, but the cum is so negligible that she doesn't even pick up on that. She calls it the pooter, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's like that. The pooter, she can hear. That's very clear and definitive kind of thing. And so that's why it was important for me to see those 18 sounds. I was like, okay, right, this is it. We've locked it in. This at least I can understand now. This is, we've got a finite number, and I can learn what those are, and then listen out for them, you know, and categorize them according to that. But the truth is, my dude, that it's not set in stone, you know. At the moment,
no spoon.
There's no spoon. I mean, we can spoon if you want, but it's what it really comes to is popularity, you know. So what that means is, at the moment, I'm making an American and an English version of RhymeWave, and they're sitting next to each other. But in the process of doing that, I'm reading the Oxford Dictionary, the Cambridge Dictionary, and the Free Dictionary. And I've got them both open as tabs on my computer, and I refer to them constantly. And they all disagree with each other all the way through. It's relative, you know?
Yeah.
And it depends who you listen to, where you're living in the country. English is a mongrel accent. It's made of all these different languages, all coming together, smushed. That's why people who don't come from, who don't speak English, find it very difficult to learn the rules. It's because you're learning about a million rules at once. You're learning maybe...
You are trying to take the 3 dictionaries and make one rule of them.
I'm trying. But it's like...
But that's what the people are trying to do. That's what...
They are.
Yeah. When they come, they're trying to learn the language.
But when people say speak English properly, it makes me laugh, you know? English is made of Greek, Latin, French, German, Norse, you know, like it's Viking, I mean, you know, it's got all these influences. And it's really interesting that, say, sometimes the swear words that are in the language are often of Norse origin, they're often of Viking origin, and they're very short and sharp, like the sort of way that you would speak to a dog, you know, when you speak, come, sit, eat, you know, it's like bam, it's that sort of gut punch of the monosyllable that people just find it too much to deal with, you know?
Yeah.
I hear people do that all the time in their lyrics. Lots of really well-known MCs and local MCs.
Every time you test it on Facebook and you have all this response.
Oh man, yeah, if I put up a rhyme scheme, so, you know, sometimes I'll have one page that I need more rhymes for, so I'll just bust it out there onto social media and say, yo, has anyone got any suggestions?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's a fun game, you know, and people start responding and coming with their own versions, and sometimes it will be in their own accent, and so it opens up these kind of conversations. And it's interesting, there was this guy, in terms of putting it out on social media like that, I'm not the first person to do that. There was this guy, Shuffle T, and he made this dictionary called the Advanced Rhyming Dictionary. And he was actually doing that, putting up schemes, and people were commenting before I was there, you know?
Okay.
And for me, the most obvious way I could represent RhymeWave was to put up a rhyme scheme. I wasn't asking people to comment on their own rhymes, but possibly because they had the kind of habit of doing it from what he did, it started as a sort of tradition and a culture on my channel. So I've got to big up Shuffle T, who's out there, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice, man. So the original idea was just make a tool for everybody to use in his rhymes. And you have some people involved in the way.
Yes. So if you want me to tell you the story of how it came together in that way. So I finished this Excel spreadsheet, it was ready to go. But I needed someone to code it for me. So at the time I was delivering sushi around town. And I'd get on this black bike and drive off into the summer night and go delivering sweaty raw fish to the surrounding towns. And there was another dude who was a driver like me. He was a guy called Tom Heath. And he was just a dope guy. I got on with him straight away. And we were sent to some sort of work thing in London. This is 2 days after I'd started working there. And I had my book full of rhymes on the page, and I was filling in rhymes. And he didn't know anything about me, but he was sitting opposite me, reading upside down what I was writing. And he said, "Are you an MC? And is that your rhyming dictionary?" And I was just like, "Yes." And a couple months later, I asked him if he could code it for me, because I knew he was messing around with coding. So he came around to my house, and he did it really fast. He got the algorithm that it would take to make RhymeWave possible.
Like the code, all
It was how much of a variation of like bits. Basically, you're talking about what the bit rate would be that it would take to make that happen. And the truth was, it was quite a simple bit rate to make RhymeWave happen, you know, because of the way it was designed. And so, we worked on it, and we had this prototype version that we put up online, and I was using to put new words in, and I could see what the user experience was going to be. And I was using it myself in rap workshops that I was teaching, you know. I'm working for this group called Audio Active, and I'm going into schools, going into pupil referral units, all sorts of spots, and people were using it, and I was seeing it in action, and seeing what it was how people were responding to it. Now, about a year later, I got a call, and they told me that he had died, you know.
Oh shit.
And I was just, I felt really close to him. It was a good friendship, and he was a kind of
like a short time, not a really connection.
Yeah, and he was a subtle guy, a very clever and funny guy, you know. And so I just went, I just stopped and didn't move on it for a couple of years, you know.
Yeah.
And didn't put in any new words, did nothing.
You stopped totally the project.
I stopped totally. And it was sitting there just on my computer. The mad thing was that around that time, it was just on my computer, right? And so I was rearranging my room. I moved into this new room, and I put my bed up on the wall to move, because my room was so tiny. I was moving things around the room. So big double bed, I pushed it up, and I was moving things around. And I left the room for a second. I came back, and the bed had fallen. Smashed my computer.
Oh shit.
To smithereens. And RhymeWave was on it. And I took it in, and they were like, nah, hard drive down, baby. Nothing had survived. I'd been working on a bunch of things, bunch of music gone, right? So then, and I happened to have a version of RhymeWave on a flash disk that I'd given to my dad.
Wow.
You know? And
always have backups.
Always back up your business. So
I had to do it too.
So we, I had this flash disk, and I gave it to my friend James Burt, who I kind of knew through battling. Through basically, we used to battle the poets at the Concord over there, and fill it out, and it was poets versus MCs, right?
Yeah,
and
I did once. In the old market, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, bro. So he just really kindly just approached me and said, "Yo, I'll make that happen for you." So James Burt took the information that I had, recoded it, and made it so that it would be robust. So if 1,000 people were accessing it at once, the system wouldn't break.
Okay.
You know? And but it looked good, but it didn't look like it does now. And I have another friend, Rob Dawson, and Rob stepped in and offered to basically make it look beautiful. So we've got
the web, no?
We've got the back end, which James was doing, and the front end, which Rob did. And also this other guy, Ben Grout, I gave him the smallest amount of money, and he made the front end work really well on touch screens and things like that, right? So people could, so it just worked beautifully. And my brother David as well, he helped me a bunch with generating like SVG, scalable vector graphics, which means that something, an image can be really small or really big, and it won't lose any of its resolution, kind of thing, you know? And he was the one.
So you can visualize in different screens.
Exactly, and you'll get the same experience.
Okay.
And so, Davey also, he was one of the first ones that said you should make it circular. You should make it so that, because with the way the vowels work, it can work in a circle as well as a strip kind of thing. Yeah. It's like, you should make a scale, basically. And so, in a way, it was his idea, my brother. And he's just helped me over the years by telling me when it's rubbish or when it's working. You know?
You are not working now just with words. You kind of like the database.
Exactly.
But now we are talking about design, web,
and what works for different people.
Yeah.
So, all right. So just before lockdown, I had all the pieces up in order. Everything was ready to go. Just as lockdown was announced, I knew that we had a week left. We were making the video, the instruction video, and I called up my brother. I was like, "Yo, can I come over tonight? Because if I don't come over tonight, I don't know when I'm gonna see you again.
Yeah.
So like, can we make this happen?" So I went over there. We did it. We got it all. We finished the video, and we dropped it just as lockdown began. You know, and a week later, after I put it out on all the socials and stuff like that, a guy who I met once at a house party, freestyling,
Always
tagged me and this guy called Cole Mice, who's like a hip hop YouTuber who does education about how to rap better. Pretty well known dude, very well connected. He tagged him in my post, you know, and said, "Check this out." And then Cole Mice got in touch with me, and suddenly, you know, I go from lockdown where I haven't seen anyone for a little while, and this dude is on my computer talking to me, and he interviewed me, you know, about RhymeWave, and he did a kind of expose and wrote a little blog about it. Boom! Suddenly the world is lit up on my analytics, you know, and it just went from strength to strength. I've seen the countries just glowing blue where they're using them, and it's 50 different countries are using it like this. You know? So it looks sick. And then, you know, over the years, it's been building up. I've been working different angles. So I'm making things happen, still using it as I'm teaching and things like that, and using it myself and putting in more words. So I've started working on this American and English version, and this is a mission because
it's the expansion, huh?
It's next level.
It's the DLC of RhymeWave. Now American accent.
We're talking about 80,000 words, you know,
yeah,
and more. And then that's 80,000 of just English. So I'm making all the American pronunciations and spellings all
everything changes, huh?
It does. It's madly different. But I'm really lucky to have had my mum's influence. She's American, and my dad's influence is English. You know, so those two things together are helping me.
You already have that in your brain.
And so I could feel different parts of my brain like lighting up as I'm doing it. Yeah, I might fragment. I'm feeling pretty fragmented right about now.
Fragment, man.
So this is the final part of the story so far, which is a couple of weeks ago. I noticed that on my analytics, it just went boom. I got like 60,000.
This is story about these two guys. No, I read about it. I read about it. Yeah, man, that's fucking nuts. That's fucking nuts. Yeah, tell me about that shit.
So, over in India, this rapper called Emiway and this other rapper called Krishna are beefing, you know, and they're releasing tracks about each other and accusing each other of things. So Emiway puts out this video. It's a diss video, a music video. Halfway through the music video, he starts reading off his phone, right? And he's reading, basically he's reciting Krishna's lyrics. So everyone's familiar with Krishna's song. And he reads out the rhymes that Krishna used.
And they come in the same order.
He flips it round, boom, and he's reading off RhymeWave. And so he's accusing Krishna, basically, of using RhymeWave.
But just like a reading it. Up to down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's accusing from that. Like.
It's 5 words in a row that Krishna used in that order. But in the subtitle underneath, they give the URL from my site. So that everyone can check. Is he actually biting? Is this true? Or did he just fabricate the image on his phone screen?
Yeah.
Boom. Suddenly my numbers just like pop. And now, India's my #1 country.
Amazing.
It was the USA, particularly Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Now it's India. And it's
just these people too. I believe there are kind of famous rappers there.
Yeah, they're well known.
Amazing.
And the thing that I thought was, you know, the controversy of a rhyming dictionary, which is what I thought would make it difficult to get it out there in the world. It's that controversy that's actually made it pop.
Down.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's nuts, bro.
It's amazing.
So
it's funny as fuck.
I'm living through that at the moment, just looking on Reddit. And like,
keep beefing.
People chatting in Hindi, and I'm just like, what is that? So copy and paste it into like Google Translate, and just laughing my head off at the stuff that people are saying.
You should intervene, man. Put like more numbers to the fire.
You know what? I actually thought. I thought about battling. I was like, yo, now I could put my little foot into this, and then I was like, nah, man. It's
it's not a good idea.
It's India,
Maybe, yes.
and India got colonized by England, you know, and I'm not going to battle them in the colonial language, you know. And so I'm going to let it do its own thing. It's already cool, and so
it's working by itself without intervening. It's like it's good, man.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's really something. The thing you pointed out, like the same controversy, like. You think you can let this thing never go out because the rappers are scared to admit they are using tools to help themselves because we have this problem of we are all self-learning and nobody teaches us shit and we don't need nothing to do our rhymes. It's kind of like a universal rapper cliche. It's exactly the same thing to actually make the dictionary pop up.
It's nuts, isn't it?
It's ironic, it's fun, and it's amazing.
And one thing that's really interesting is the kind of use of it as a language tool, as a way to learn English, you know? Because
I use it with my English lyrics.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't use it like I don't start writing. I use it when I get stuck.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is the way, my guy.
Because for me, it's a new language. I don't have the vocabulary. I don't have the lexicon of English talker. So I limited of I don't know how many words I know in English. Maybe it's 500, maybe it's 200, but there is a limited amount of words I know. And if you think about it, what is the words I actually use often? Maybe it's 20% of that. That's the words I have like printed in my brain and coming up easy first.
Yes.
You know, and if I have to actually go deeper, it take me like a bigger effort. And I write now how many? 5 songs in English. And sometimes I have because I explain you how I rhyme. Like when I write, I think about a pattern, like a flow, like with a musical structure. And I know how to song. I know how it's gonna finish, and sometimes I need 2-3 repetition of the same patterns to get to the punchline when I do the different one. You know what I mean? So sometimes I get to the second, to the third, and it's like what the fuck? I don't have a 4-line for this. You know, I don't have words to actually. I know how to go. I know how it had to go, but I don't have the words how to put it in. So that's the moment when I start opening tabs in my PC, and I always have one who is the corrector, one who is the translator, to check I'm saying what I think I'm saying. The corrector because sometimes the length changes because my bad grammar. Because my grammar is really worse than how we talk.
But there's a charm to that as well, my guy, you know?
And then I open the RhymeWave, because the RhymeWave gives me a list of words, and it's like, I'm looking for 2-3 words with this ending, with this rhyme, and you probably give me 15 in a row. And it's like, I just have to pick and choose which one is the one who actually come out with what I was trying to explain. What is my point? You know, you have 15, but of these 15, only 2 or 3 maybe are gonna work.
Of course,
what I looking for.
That's the idea, man. So you have to be selective and not read them in a row. Like that dude was getting accused of.
That's how I use your RhymeWave. So for me, it's like maybe I use it punctually 3-4 times. For looking for maybe 4-6 rhymes in my whole, no rhymes, because rhymes is a couple of words. So maybe I take 4 or 5 words for that in my 3 verse of 60 bars. You know what I mean? That's the way I use it. But it's amazing tool. It's amazing tool.
One of the things I've just noticed, especially with rapping and being invested in language in that way, is that being hungry to be able to spit and know what words mean, you know, because each new word that you know, if it rhymes especially, and you can use it in a cool way, then it makes you research that word, right? And so
you don't know how deep it can go. It's like a lot of times I use words because I have to, or they come out, and there are words I never use. So every time I write something, my vocabulary grows.
Me too.
A couple of words, maybe 5, maybe 2, but there is always a couple of new words I never used before in that lyric. And now with the videos as well, because now I'm writing scripts for the videos. Like for Baby, I write it's like a 6 lines, 7 lines, like a 1 minute of a speech where I stretch to 5 minutes of video, splitting. But there is always new words there, and I have to speed it. I have the mic, and I have to speed it, and I have to speed it correctly to the people understand it. So I train them.
So you're invested in communicating in that way, right?
Yeah, and I learn it.
And that to me is the joy that I see when, say, you got a young kid that hasn't done very well in school, you know, but they are invested in rapping. They're invested in being a sick MC, you know. And that's what they're about. And that's the way to come out top, you know. That's the way to be noticed and move the world with your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Totally. So what plans do you have for RhymeWave? Yeah, you told me. The American, for the future. I was about to ask you that. You already answered to that. So the future plans for RhymeWave now is the American accent. Anything else? Yeah, the idea is I want to be able to write lyrics inside of RhymeWave. That's going to be a thing, rather than, because I see people write lyrics on their phone and I watch them bounce between their memo or their notes and then back to RhymeWave and then their notes and then back to RhymeWave. Okay, so you want to implement the notebook in the RhymeWave in a way that you can link the word and just press the word and go to the something like that. Yeah, something like that. I'm not going to speak on it too much, but that's the kind of idea. And some of the other ideas are to sort of crowd source words, because obviously the accents are different from place to place, you know. So that's a consideration that we're working with at the moment for people in the local area. It really is, my bro. Yeah. Because it can be infinite. Now we make the Scotch version, exactly, bro. Like the America, but with the southern or the north. After the thing in India. The English-French version for Canada. I'm getting these messages at the moment, just coming up on my email that's attached to RhymeWave, and it's just Hindi with a question mark, and that's basically they're asking me to make a Hindi version, but that's all that they know how to communicate, you know, at the moment. And I really rate that. I really like that someone's trying to make that happen with what they know of English. You know? You're gonna need a collaboration for some Hindi guy. Mate, I would love that. My whole plan with this, I want to be out there in the world, same as I was in Barcelona, just rapping with Spanish spitters, freestyling and that kind of thing. I just want to travel. I want to connect the world up. You know, this hip hop already does that. Music do that. It does that, man. But hip hop in particular, because it's such a cultural, it's very local. You know, very indigenous culture comes through in hip hop. But then you're hearing West Country culture, you're hearing London culture, you're hearing Hindi culture, you're hearing French culture. From Marseille, it might be different to Paris culture kind of thing. And all of this mixture, this United Nations pretty much that we got going on with the hip-hop. Everybody with his own concept. And we love it, man. We'll sit there and listen to a language we don't know what the hell you're saying, but I know it sounds cool, you know? Yeah. And I can give you a dap for it, you know? Yeah. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's the way I connected with it coming here. With you, with Mason, and with all the guys here in the Bay Beats. Just the fact you are, even with people in the public, the people that doesn't rhyme, or are not into the hip hop, they don't understand Spanish, and I drop a lyric or a freestyle in Spanish, and the people respond bro. You really are responding, you understand what I'm saying, you understand what no, but they understand something. There is something there. I can understand, I think it's the musically part of the rhyme, what is get universal. Because the rhyme is very basic and linguistic. So if you lost the language, you change it for another one, you are missing a big percent of what it is, what you are doing. No? But if you try to move that in a more musical way,
And I'm not talking about music with scales and notes and shit, just rhythm.
Yeah, bro.
Just percussion.
Music.
Just percussion. You know, it's the basic of the basic. You know, something everybody can understand. Like a lot of people don't understand like what is a scale, harmony and shit. But everybody understands that. You know what I mean? Every the little kid, the old guy, and the construction worker, and the drummer.
Yes.
You know. So I think that's the link who make like the hip hop over the language so accessible for everybody. Because
and the truth
it's just some like it's a tribal.
It is tribal, man. I love that feeling when everyone's having it in a room. We're all on the same page. We're all together. We're in that circle, and we're building that energy, that fire in the middle of the skill and the love. You know.
Yeah.
And the truth is, live on stage when an MC is spitting, it is often the case that you cannot hear what the hell they are saying, but you can hear their rhythm, you know, and you can hear the passion in their voice, you know, and so in a way that works, you know. It doesn't matter what language.
A lot of people work with energies, with like emotion, and you feel emotion and you go with it, and that's it. That's all a lot of people need. I need something else, but a lot of people just need that. Like one guy is screaming and the other guy is screaming to win. They don't know each other, but they're screaming together. I see that shit happen. Yeah, it's true. You know, it's some people are just waiting for something. You know what I mean?
I talk to animals sometimes, man, and they understand. You know, I walk past a cat and it will do like a little inquiring meow to me, so I'll do an inquiring meow back. And there was some communication there. We both didn't know what the hell each other was saying, but we knew.
Oh, but if you're screaming to him in an aggressive way, he's gonna understand.
Yeah, he's gonna understand that for sure, man.
And the same way, and a big animal is screaming in an aggressive way to you, you get it. You don't know what the fuck is going on, but you get the idea.
For sure.
Like you are not welcome. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's all about feelings sometimes. Okay.
My bro, I've loved this today. This has been super
It's been good, right?
Yeah,
man, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed this conversation a lot. Let's make a really recapitulation, because we talk about the background.
Yeah.
We talk about like all your previous works, the rapper, the producer, the freestyler, RhymeWave. I think we talk about. Is something else you want to talk about RhymeWave? Something we didn't touch?
I guess there was a crew that I was in, like way back when, which I didn't really mention, and it was me and this guy called Professor Elemental.
Professor Elemental.
And our crew was
like
called
X-Men.
He kind of is an X-Men. There's this. Basically, our crew was called Special School, and it was very much on the X-Men idea, you know, which was the idea of. Special means special, you know, which is like I guess evolution is talking about the sort of growing of a human. And so yeah, me and him were in a crew for like maybe 5 years together. We were doing like a bunch of shows, and he was very theatrical, similar to Colette, you know.
Okay.
And so yeah, I learned a lot from this dude. So yeah, the Special School album is worth checking if anyone wants to put an ear to it. There's some really ridiculous songs, and then some really hardcore like horror story type of stuff. He's really good at that, you know.
Okay.
But at the moment, yeah, he's doing really well for himself. He's got a career rapping, pretty much going around the world.
Nice.
Dressing up in this like safari suit, and it's hilarious. Like his lyrics and him as a person is just like a walking joke, you know, but in the best possible way. So yeah, I would like to shine a little bit of light on that.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about. I think we should. Let's actually close it.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, I want to talk. I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk about like other music projects you have right now.
All right. So
something you are preparing, or something you are like aside of RhymeWave.
So at the moment, I've been working on a kind of more introverted project, sort of based around dreams. So whenever I have a cool dream, I'll write it down.
Tell me about that.
And so I've just got this book full of dreams, and I'm kind of deciding how I'm gonna bring it out, just because it's so, I guess, inward looking, that I want to make it more accessible and make it sort of so that it reaches more people than just people who like a load of wild ideas.
You want to make a dictionary of rhyme or dreams?
I'm thinking of doing a collaboration. I like collaborations. I love, that's, for me, that's what hip hop is. It's like it's an energy bouncing between people. It's a relationship between the people on stage, which then feeds into the people in the crowd, and they can see that relationship.
You have some beats dropping in internet that people can check?
Yeah.
SoundCloud or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, so there's a bunch of. In fact, I'll send you a connection, and then you can bust it in the link, and we can.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna put some in the title of this video, or on the sub videos I'm gonna make for this video. They're gonna go some music with you, but some direction that people can look from if they wanna look for some beats of yours, some productions. So
I spend more time, I'll tell you the truth, making beats than I do rapping, which is kind of nuts. Beats for me is like paradise. I just like bust the headphones on.
Relaxing time.
It's beautiful, man. It's just like it's this painting of color and sound. It's just like a wash, and I can just spend days in there, and I don't get tired either. I don't get tired of the process. Not that I get tired of rapping either. I can freestyle.
Yeah, but you have like more resistance there, no?
Yeah. There's something about music. I find I can listen to the same thing over and over again for 5 hours.
I get that. Sometimes I discover a new song and I bang that shit for like 2 months and repeat. Coming work and going back like at the same fucking song. Yeah, put it in repeat. And it's like 3 weeks like this with this song. Yeah, why not? Love it. Alone in here,
Diego, my bro, it's been a pleasure,
bro.
Yeah, come here. Yeah, man. Oh my God.